Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out Bandai's new HG Super Robot Wars kit here, the Huckebein Mk-II. So far, I've been so impressed with Bandai's HG Super Robot Wars line. The kits in the line that I've built, I've really enjoyed quite a bit, so I'm really looking forward to this one. This particular design is very cool because, I mean, obviously, look at that thing. It's a Gundam, even though it's not technically a Gundam. It's one of the most Gundam-looking non-Gundam mobile suit designs or mecha designs I think that I've ever seen. So I think this one should be right up our alley. Should be very cool. Let's go ahead and check it out for today's review. First off, on the subject of the artwork here for the box art of this, as much as I love Bandai Super Robot Wars HG kits, and so far I've been very impressed with the line in general. Not my favorite style of box art, as it basically looks sort of like a still from the anime, where I prefer like the much more detailed and much more kind of artistic box art, where this, I mean, it's a cool illustration there of the robot, and I'm sure the styling is intentional for the Super Robot Wars aesthetic, I guess, but I just prefer like the kind of more detailed artwork that you see on a lot of the other different box arts coming out from Bandai more recently. Anyway, here on this side of the box, there you got that. I guess they don't have any numbering system here for these, which I was thinking that they did, but apparently not. On the bottom of the box, we've got to look at some of the gimmicks. So it has a wire that can be attached and launched, the chakram to recreate the wire-guided firing states. We've got a look at some of its different weaponry and gimmicks here built in with this. So it's weapon gimmicks. Everything does look very cool. Some movability, talking about the articulation of them and everything, and should be a pretty good size. It is including an action base, which again I believe is pretty standard for the line so far. They've all come with an action base, which is nice, and the articulation and the size of them has all been pretty nice as well. A little bit larger than your standard 1:44 scale Gundam kits. Over here on the other side of the box, we've got to look at the front and back of the kit. This would be an actual painted sample there. And that is about it. A little bit here about the pilot, Brooklyn Luckfield, and the story, the Super Robot Wars Orgy story there. Let's go ahead and pop the box. As you can see, it's a good sized box, not quite as thick as the Gespensed box, but still thicker than kind of your average HG box, feels like. Part of that is probably due to this right here, which is going to be our action base. But right here on the manual, we've got the same box art, but the full version of that, which goes all the way down to the legs and the feet there, which is pretty cool. Here on the back side, we've got some more information. This is all in Japanese and in English. Right there, information about the wing thruster unit, the G impact cannon, which is going to be that big cannon there that it has. Information about the head auto cannons there, which would be like its Vulcans essentially. The photon rifle, which looks very similar to like something you might see on like a crossbone Gundam or something. And the chakram shooter there on the arm. So a lot of really cool weapons. Interesting there. Also has the beam swords, of course. And then our color guide is going to be down here at the bottom. That's there in Japanese and in English as well. On the inside of the manual, we've got our parts list right here. The first chunk of the construction is all going to be here, black and white in the manual. The latter part of the construction is going to be in full color here for the last couple of parts of construction there, and then like how to use the weapons and everything. So that's it for the manual. We also got our foil sticker sheet here, which as you can see is pretty minimal, just the eyes and a couple little camera stickers, and that's going to be about it. And then our included black wire here is pretty thin, but harder than what you typically see for a wire like this from Bandai. Usually these thin ones, it's pretty flimsy. This one actually does hold a shape pretty well. The total length on this is going to be about 15 centimeters. And then getting into the runners, first of all, we've got SB13 for our beam saber effect parts, and no polycaps, by the way. Here is the action base, so there's the base plate, which is in black, and the arm is in clear here, as you can see. Our A runner is in 4 colors. You got clear green up there, red over here, yellow over here on the side, and then this kind of dark blue color there for the main color of it. And I know some of you guys are going to want to know about the runners just in regards to any possible future variants. This runner doesn't look like it's separated for any particular variants, but I assume this was all stuff that's like specific for this version. And the runner marking here for this is just going to be Huckebein Mk-II on there. Runner B here as well is just marked for the Huckebein Mk-II, and this is all in that dark kind of gunmetal brown kind of color for all of our joint parts and frame parts, stuff like that on here. The same color here for runner C1, but as you can see, this one is definitely separated into different sections, so you can see like here's the parts for that gun, here's some just like joint and hand parts, here's some parts over here for this weapon, so you can tell how this runner could be separated later on. And the runner marking for this one is Personal Trooper 1 for that, so it's got a different marking on it. And pretty much the same goes for the rest of the runners here. You can see how this one is also kind of broken into different sections. This one also still has the same Personal Trooper 1 label on it. D1 here is some parts in white. Runner E1 is some more of our blue parts, and again, same label and the same design here for this runner. I can tell it's broken up into sections. And then lastly, runner F1, again, the same thing, Personal Trooper 1, sections here of the runner, and this is in a much darker navy blue here for this color. And that's it for all the parts. Okay guys, here is the kit all put together. It looks awesome. The color separation and like the part separation, the way this kit is engineered is really, really nice. Has some awesome accessories, some great articulation, everything that you would love and expect about the line if you've been building the line so far with the first couple of releases out in this line from Bandai thus far. We'll take a look at a size comparison here in a few moments, but this is not going to be quite as big as the Gespenst or the Altyson, which are the couple of other Super Robot Wars kits from Bandai that I have built, though it is going to be a little bit larger than your standard like 1/44 scale Gundam kit. And although I do think that it's got a couple of more seam lines than I would really like to see on a kit like this, there's definitely a lot to like about this, and just that super cool design for one. So let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off with our hand options, you've got these holding hands, and then we do also have a set of open expressive hands like this, which will be nice for just, you know, kind of expressive poses, or also holding up the weapons, of which we've got our two different kind of projectile weapons here. Let me grab the other hand. So for the photon rifle here, for example, you can see how this could be like a rifle support hand, not like gripping it, but just holding it up like that. So this is our photon rifle. Really cool design here. We do have a sticker for the camera lens there for that, mostly in one color, but the white accents are really nice there on that. We are going to have a seam line on the dark gray parts of that, but a lot of really nice detail on there. And again, this really cool design for this one. I really like it a lot. The handle on this does fold back, and it has like this peg right here, which I'm not exactly sure what that does. It doesn't say in the manual as far as I can tell. I thought maybe that's for plugging it on like the back of the arm. If you take a look back here on the back side of the arm, we don't have like a hole adapter there. And if you take a look here at the back skirt, we have this little tab that flips down for plugging this onto the back skirt. You're just going to use that hole right there in the side. That's just plugged onto the back skirt there like that. So I guess when it's stored, you can just fold the handle up, but I'm not exactly sure what that peg is for. And we have a similar one here on its other weapon, the G impact cannon, which is about 14.5 centimeters long. So it's going to be pretty large here. You can see compared to the size of the Huckebein itself, it comes out to just about the same head height, if not slightly more. This one also has this little 3mm peg there on the top, which seems like that's made for attaching onto somewhere, but I'm just not sure where, and it doesn't say in the instructions. Anyway, for this, we have this part here on the bottom, which will open up like that, and these handles here on the side fold out for a two-handed grip, and you can adjust the angle of those so that you can get your hands attached on there and have this plugged in. And this little square tab here at the back can also, you can move that up and down a little bit. That's just basically going to be straight on like that, and that is going to plug in here on the front skirt. This part here folds down, and you'll, like I said, attach the hands, connect that into the front skirt right there, and it becomes a mega crotch blaster rifle. A really cool weapon. Yeah, definitely. I really like this weapon, just simply for its uniqueness. And again, the colors of it does look really nice with that dark gray, but then you have those nice white accents on there. Do look pretty cool. Now this one, you don't have any way to store this on the kit when not in use. Again, I thought that maybe that peg was maybe for that, but no, there's nowhere for it. But of course you could also just hold on to that handle right there. You also have this kind of handle right here on the bottom side that you could like hold on to or something, I suppose. Other than that, we do also of course have our beam sword effect parts. The beam sword handles are stored here in the side skirts, so you can just pop those out of there. Probably easier to just take off the whole side skirt and pop out the handle. And then you've got your beam sword easily enough. And I wanted to pop this off actually for another reason, just because I wanted to mention that this kit doesn't have any polycaps, but I almost kind of wish that it did have a polycap here for the side skirt connection, because this just straight ball and socket joint like that tends to come off really easily, especially here on the side skirts. You can see because of like this armor here on the thigh, you can't press it down any further than that because it's going to be like sticking out a little bit. So if you were looking at this and you're like, oh, then you just press that down, it's just gonna pop that off of there. So it's just kind of forced to be sticking out a bit, which is fine, but it's gonna come off really easily anytime you touch that. It's just gonna pop off of there. And I feel like if it was a poly cap in there, it would have a little bit better grip. Last accessory then here is just going to be the chakram shooter, which we have here. Now this will attach onto the back side of the arm. This is what is actually meant to attach on there. Even though we have attachment points on the left and the right side, we're only going to really use it here on the one side, and this will just plug onto here. That just looks like that, and this does actually open up, so that just pops out of there. And this is supposed to be the shooter, I guess, when it's inactive, but you need to pull that one out of there, which can be a little bit tricky. It's kind of tight for me with big fingers anyway. Pull that out of there, and you're going to replace it with our active one, which is just on the wire here. So this is what you're going to plug into there where we took that one out. And then here is the expanded one with all the little blades sticking out and everything. Like I said, it doesn't weigh a whole lot, so we should be able to use this. And the wire is pretty sturdy, even though it's quite thin. It does have a pretty good rigidness to it, so that you don't need an extra stand or anything for this. It should just be able to hold it up in a pose without and like, as you can see, it's like wiggling like that. So as it's going around on my base, as it's rotating around, when I'm showing you guys in a pose here, it's probably going to wiggle a little bit, but at least it holds it up without having to use an extra base or anything, because it doesn't really weigh all that much. Now, as I said, for a size comparison here, it is going to be a bit larger than your standard 1/44 scale Gundam kit. So as you can see, it's the Strike Gundam here is 1/44 scale and comes up to like right at the bottom of the head, the Huckebein. So it's definitely larger. It's not huge though by any means. But if we get closer up here to take a closer look at the kit in more detail, one thing that I was saying before was just that I was a little bit disappointed at the number of seam lines here on this one. Unfortunately, like here on the forearm, you'll have a little one right there. Up on the shoulder, you'll have a seam line there. But again, just because of the design of this, if you look at this blue piece of, like this dark blue piece of armor, how this is all connected, there wouldn't be any way, if they made this all as one solid piece, that would be really difficult to then have the yellow pieces inside there and for it to fit on there, and it would be kind of a large piece to have it as one single piece. I have no doubt that Bandai probably could have made it like that, but I understand why it would have been challenging. The other thing they could have done would be to change the design, and then it wouldn't be, accurate to the design. So they wanted to keep the design as accurate as possible, and then also, have the color separation as good as they could, which is really nice. So this is all separate pieces. There's no stickers or anything for all these little bits of yellow and everything that you see everywhere. So the color separation is really nice, but unfortunately that means that it made it more difficult for them to design the parts without any of those seam lines on there. Going down to the lower leg here, if you take a look on the front and the back, it almost looks like that's meant to be just like a panel detail line, but if you take a look at the promotional images, I don't believe that it has that line there, so it's kind of a good way to tell if it's supposed to be there or not, and it doesn't look like it's supposed to. Also here on the back of the ankle armor, there's a little seam line right there of these two halves of this ankle armor. Another one to mention, of course, is just also going to be up here on these backpack parts, a seam line on these parts here, the side parts of the backpack. And on that note, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the articulation while we're here. So these parts here at the backpack are just on ball joints, so you can move them a little bit side to side, rotate them up and down, and that's basically it. These wings sticking out to the side, don't move at all. The wings sticking down, don't move at all. It's just kind of this two main sections of the backpack that will move around on ball joints basically. The head also works pretty normally. Here's where we have our other stickers for the kit, just going to be for the cameras on the front and back of the head, and the eye stickers there. Though the color separation again is really nice with those actual separate white pieces on there instead of stickers, like for the cheeks and everything. The little red that you see underneath the eyes is a separate piece, and actually the part for the head cameras and the eyes is a clear green part, so if you didn't want to use the stickers, you could just have that as clear green if you wanted, but the head will go up and down pretty normally like that. In the torso section, we do have a pretty nice ab crunch there to the front and back, so pretty good movement front and back here in the torso. Side to side, you can basically move it side to side there at the base joint, at the connection between the top and bottom half of the body, and rotation there as well. The shoulder joint also going to work pretty normally. I know it's kind of dark, hard to see in there, but the shoulder joint will swing to the front like so. You can bring the arm up pretty high, higher than 90 degrees, but not too much more than just about like that. The arm is also going to be pretty standard, rotation at the top of the bicep, a double joint at the elbow to give you a pretty full, nice bend there. And the wrist is just on a ball joint. Going down here to the skirt armor, the front skirts are connected, but you can clip those apart and separate them if you want. The back skirts do not move, but again, have some nice color separation there with those. The side skirts, as you guys saw before, can move around as those are just attached via a ball joint and pop off kind of easily. For the hip joint, it's just going to be pretty normal. You're able to bring the leg up to about 90 degrees out to the side to almost 90 degrees like that. And then our knee joint is going to have a nice double joint here, but not really any separation here of this knee armor. Even though it is a separate piece, it's not going to move separately once you bend the knee like that. It still just kind of moves together with this lower leg armor. The ankle armor will move up and down a little bit. This little section down here will also move up and down a little bit. The toe will move up a little bit, but not really too much down. Up underneath the feet, you do have full detail there, which does look nice. And the ankle is able to move side to side pretty well, forward and back like that also pretty nicely. So overall, another really fun and impressive kit here from the HG Super Robot Wars line from Bandai. I think there's a couple of pros and cons. The main con for me is just that there's a few more seam lines on there than I would like to see, but considering that it is an HG kit at the end of the day, I think that it is really nice. Putting their focus more in the color separation and all the weapon gimmicks and everything, I think was a good way to go to make it for a really fun kit. That's one thing that has been really enjoyable about these kits in this line, is that they have a lot of interesting weapon gimmicks, and so that's one thing that definitely makes them a lot of fun. If you're the kind of person that likes to kind of play around with these, I use that in air quotes, play around with these a little bit more just by trying out different poses and things like that, I think they're a lot of fun to mess around with just because of the different gimmicks and things that they have. And based on what I can tell here from the runners and the parts and everything, I think we're definitely going to see at least some sort of variant to come out in the future. I think it'd be really cool if they were to release like the boxer set for this. I think would be really fun. I think that it is definitely possible based on what I can tell so far, although I don't know if and when that might ever actually happen, but it would probably be like some sort of Bandai exclusive or something, I would imagine. But this kit is definitely a lot of fun, and you know, good size, being a little bit larger than your standard HG kit from Bandai, and having some pretty nice articulation. There's not really any particular points of articulation that like really stand out, but then there's also not any points that feel like it's particularly hindered by any means. So, you know, it's good articulation. You should be able to do just about any pose that you might want. The fact that it also includes a stand is nice as well. It's something you can't necessarily say for a lot of, you know, high-grade gunpla kits necessarily. So you have a stand included, which is nice. As even though the kit does have its backpack on there, it's not particularly back heavy. So if you didn't want to have it on the stand and you just wanted to have it in some ground pose, I think it would be fine. But obviously having it up on the stand allows you to get, you know, even more dynamic poses out of this, which I think definitely is the best way to go about displaying it. But other than that, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about the Huckebein Mk-II? Are you looking forward to any possible variants out in the future? Is there a particular one that you would like to see? Let me know in the comment section. Have you been enjoying the Super Robot Wars line of HG kits from Bandai? Do you have a particular favorite out so far? Let me know in the comment section. And of course, if you guys want to check out this kit or some other ones, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got them available there for you guys, as well as everything else from Bandai, so check that out. And if you also want to like and or subscribe while you're here, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye.